It's strange how love died quietly, not with heartbreak, not with betrayal, but with convenience. There was a time when love meant risk, when being with someone meant surrendering a piece of yourself. Today, connection has become something else entirely, a game of quick exchanges, brief thrills, and silent withdrawals. No one falls anymore. They scroll, they text, they reply with heart emojis, but falling requires gravity, and gravity only exists when you care. We live in the era of nanoships, micro-relationships engineered for emotional efficiency. Fleeting connections that give just enough to feel alive but never enough to create dependence. They're smaller than flings, shorter than situationships, and colder than casual sex. They are the emotional equivalent of a notification, a buzz, a blink, then silence. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many modern women have mastered this art. They didn't invent it out of malice. They built it out of survival, out of exhaustion, out of a world that rewards detachment and punishes vulnerability. A nanoship is not a relationship. It's a controlled illusion of one. It's the 5-minute call before bed that feels intimate but means nothing. It's the man she messages when she feels unseen, the one who listens just enough to fill the silence. It's the story reply that keeps you orbiting, the half compliment that makes you wonder if there's still a chance. Men mistake it for connection. Women use it as insulation. See, a nanoship gives her everything she wants without the cost of commitment. Attention, validation, power, and a taste of intimacy, but only a taste. The trick is dosage. She never gives too much. Never enough to lose herself. You think you're talking to her because she likes you. But often, you're there because she likes the reflection of herself she sees through your desire. Every message you send, every compliment you give, it feeds her sense of worth. Not because she's cruel, but because the world taught her that being desired is safer than being loved. And yet, what's darker is how systematic this has become. Women didn't just stumble into this. They adapted to a broken landscape. Society told her that vulnerability is weakness, that independence means emotional autonomy, that needing a man is regression. So she re-engineered connection into something lightweight, portable, non-committal, something she could control from her phone. She calls it empowerment. He calls it confusion. But what it really is the death of reciprocity. You can't build love in a system built for self-preservation. You can't plant roots in soil designed to dry up the moment someone asks for more. Nanoships are a defense mechanism dressed as freedom. They let her flirt without falling, engage without exposure, connect without consequence. They're built on plausible deniability. She can always say, "We were never really a thing." But that's the game, isn't it? To never be a thing. To keep everything fluid, undefined, reversible. Because the moment something is defined, it can break. The moment something is real, it can hurt. And so, she builds nanoships, small enough to manage, light enough to abandon, safe enough to feel in control. The average man doesn't even realize he's in one. He mistakes the emotional breadcrumbs for affection. He thinks he's building something he's not. He's maintaining an illusion that exists only as long as he stays useful. It's not manipulation in the traditional sense. It's emotional economics. She invests only what she can afford to lose. You see it everywhere. A woman posting cryptic quotes about energy and alignment while privately juggling 3 men who all think they're special. A man waiting days for her reply, not realizing she's already moved her attention elsewhere. These are not relationships. They're psychological microtransactions. And the worst part? They work. Because they give both sides what they want in the short term. Stimulation, distraction, ego validation. But they destroy something in the long term. The human capacity for depth. A nanoship trains you to be replaceable. It teaches you to settle for fragments of affection instead of full connection. It tells you that almost is enough, that being almost loved, almost chosen, almost important, is better than nothing. And this mindset has infected an entire generation. The modern woman has learned to survive through control, and the modern man, through hope. She controls, he hopes. She withholds, he interprets. She vanishes, he waits. The The polarity is brutal, because deep down, both still want the same thing: to be seen, to be safe, to be loved. But they're too afraid of the cost. So instead of surrendering, they negotiate. Instead of love, they simulate it. And when the simulation ends, they just start another one. The nanoship era is not about romance. It's about attention economics. Every message, every glance, every voice note becomes currency. The one who controls scarcity controls value. And right now, scarcity is her weapon. Men give attention freely. Women distribute it strategically. It's no longer about connection, it's about leverage. She knows exactly how much attention to give to keep you hooked but not secure. How much warmth to offer before she withdraws. It's an algorithm, learned subconsciously through repetition and reward. And every time it works, every time she gains power without vulnerability, the cycle strengthens. But here's the real tragedy. In protecting herself from pain, she's also protecting herself from love. Because love, in its truest form, requires surrender. It demands openness, risk, exposure. And when you build a fortress around your heart, nothing real can get in, but nothing real can get out either. That's the paradox of the nanoship. It gives the illusion of safety while guaranteeing loneliness. And maybe that's the price of modern freedom. A freedom so sterile, so controlled, that it kills the very thing it was meant to protect. There was a man named Daniel. Not a fool, not a weak man, just one who still believed that connection meant something. He met her online. Her name was Ava. She had that disarming blend of softness and control. The kind of woman who seemed emotionally fluent enough to make you forget how dangerous that can be. It started with long messages. Late-night conversations about books, music, life. She told him he was different, that he understood her. He believed her. But what he didn't know was that she had 3 other Daniels, each one filling a different emotional role. One made her laugh, one listened, one admired. None of them were allowed too close. They were all part of the same architecture, the nanoship network. She gave each of them just enough. A voice note here, a compliment there. She disappeared when it suited her, reappeared when she felt the craving for validation. And Daniel? He stayed. Because hope always stays longer than it should. He didn't understand that Ava wasn't cruel, she was conditioned. Conditioned by years of men who promised intensity and delivered absence. Conditioned by a world that taught her attention was power and vulnerability was risk. So she learned to ration herself, to distribute small doses of affection like a dealer controlling supply. She didn't want to hurt him. She just didn't want to need him. And that's the silent tragedy of the nanoship. Everyone's protecting themselves from the very thing they crave. Then there's Mia. Mia's the kind of woman who posts about protecting her peace while privately craving chaos. She's 29, successful, independent, adored, yet restless. Her phone never stops vibrating. Messages from men who all think they have a chance. She never commits, but she never rejects either. When she's lonely, she sends a casual, "Hey." When he replies too fast, she loses interest. When he pulls away, she reels him back in. It's not conscious manipulation. It's rhythm. A survival pattern. She doesn't want him, she wants the feeling of being wanted. Because deep down, she doesn't believe anyone stays once they see all of her. And so, she creates a constant loop of micro-validation, little moments that remind her she's still relevant, still desired, still powerful. But when the screen goes dark, she's alone. She doesn't cry, she scrolls. She doesn't heal, she replaces. Modern connection isn't about love anymore. It's about keeping loneliness just far enough away to feel bearable. Then there's Evan, a man who thought he was in something real. He met Sophie through a friend. She was magnetic, unpredictable. They shared everything for 3 months. Inside jokes, late-night calls, a private world built between 2 screens. He never noticed that he was never actually with her. Every plan ended with excuses. Every deep moment was followed by withdrawal. When he asked where it was going, she said, "Why do we have to label everything?" That's the modern poison, the fear of definition. Because labels bring accountability. And accountability means emotional debt. Sophie wasn't a liar, She just lived in permanent self-defense. To her, intimacy was a transaction, a temporary exchange of comfort for attention. And when Evan stopped responding, she didn't chase him. She simply opened another chat. The cycle restarted. New man, same pattern. You can call it toxic, manipulative, shallow, but underneath it all, there's pain. The kind that no one wants to admit. Because to admit it would mean confessing that freedom didn't bring fulfillment. It brought isolation. We think people are cold because they don't care. But often, they're cold because caring broke them. Ava, Mia, Sophie, they aren't villains. They're products of a world that taught women to be valuable first and vulnerable last. A world where attention is currency and love is a liability. And men, too, have adapted, but in the opposite direction. They've learned to endure uncertainty, to hope quietly, to chase ghosts that vanish the moment they reach out. I once spoke to a man who said, "I feel like I'm in relationships that never existed." He meant nanoships. He meant that strange limbo between connection and nothingness, that digital purgatory where everything feels real but nothing is. You talk every day. You share secrets. You even say, "Good night." But there's no commitment, no consistency, no continuity. It's not love. It's a simulation of love. And what's worse is how natural it feels now. People have grown addicted to uncertainty. They mistake anxiety for attraction. They equate inconsistency with excitement. She texts less, he panics more, and somehow, that feels like passion. It's not passion. It's scarcity addiction, a psychological loop that turns emotional chaos into proof of connection. That's the psychology behind nanoships. The push-pull dynamic, the dopamine spikes, the withdrawal periods, it's all neurological. It's the same circuitry that drives gambling, addiction, obsession. And social media? It's the casino. Every time she replies, it's a hit of dopamine. Every silence is withdrawal. Every reappearance feels like winning. But the game never ends, because winning doesn't exist. There's only maintenance. Only continuation. And somewhere inside, both players know it. They know this isn't love, but they're too numb to stop. Because real connection now feels too heavy, too slow, too demanding. That's the modern paradox. Everyone wants something real, but no one wants to feel real pain. So they build nanoships instead, fast, efficient, low-risk vessels for temporary warmth. But warmth borrowed is not warmth earned. And love borrowed is never love returned. Each story, Ava, Mia, Sophie, Daniel, Evan, is a reflection of the same wound, the fear of being seen and rejected. So instead of being seen, they curate. Instead of connecting, they perform. And in the end, all that performance leaves them empty. Because no matter how many followers you have, or how many people flirt with you, the silence after the screen goes dark, that silence tells the truth. It says, "You built a fortress so no one could hurt you, but now no one can reach you either." There comes a moment when you realize something has shifted. You can't point to the day or the hour, but it's there, a quiet corrosion of meaning. You start to notice that no one really looks at each other anymore. Not through the eyes, but into them. The gaze has become a transaction. The touch a tool. The voice a signal. Love used to be a storm, now it's a feed. And attention has become the new oxygen. We've turned human connection into a marketplace, and in that market, women learn to sell what men are desperate to buy, validation. But here's the thing about validation, it's addictive. It never satisfies. The more you receive, the less you feel. And that's where the cycle deepens. Because once you taste power without vulnerability, you start to believe that's what love should feel like. Controlled. Predictable. On your terms. But control kills warmth. You can't hold someone close and keep your guard up at the same time. You can't receive love if you're always managing its risk. So she plays it safe. Keeps her emotions modular, detachable. She learns how to simulate affection without ever surrendering to it. She learns that mystery equals magnetism. That silence keeps them chasing. That presence is more powerful when rationed. And at first, it works. The attention flows in. The compliments stack up. The texts never stop. But with every message that says, "You're beautiful," she feels it less. Because repetition drains meaning. She's adored, but untouched. Worshipped, but unseen. The same pattern repeats, men lining up for a chance to prove their worth, while she scrolls through names like inventory, deciding who will play which role in her emotional economy today. The funny one. The listener. The confident one. The safe one. Each one gives a little piece of himself hoping to earn something real. But she never intended to give something real back, not because she's heartless, but because she's tired of being the one who bleeds. So she bleeds others instead. That's the quiet cruelty of emotional detachment. It spreads. When someone gives less, the other compensates by giving more. And soon, love isn't mutual anymore. It's an exchange of fear and hope. Fear of losing power. Hope that the other person will finally feel something real. And that's when men begin to unravel. Because nothing confuses a man more than a woman who is warm enough to keep him close but cold enough to keep him guessing. He mistakes her unpredictability for depth. He starts reading silence like scripture. Every pause becomes a test, every message a prophecy. He doesn't see that she's running a psychological pattern, one that keeps him emotionally dependent while she remains emotionally immune. But she's not free either. Every time she withholds affection, she feels a hollow satisfaction, a brief moment of power followed by a deeper loneliness. Because control doesn't fill the void. It just keeps it neat. And soon, she starts to hate the men who chase her, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they remind her of how easily she can manipulate care without ever feeling it. That disgust grows inward. It becomes self-directed. She starts to believe that all men are weak, when really, she's terrified of the one who wouldn't need her validation to stay. The one who could walk away. The one who could see her mask, and not flinch. But that kind of man is rare. Because this era doesn't reward groundedness, it rewards obsession. People don't want stability, they want intensity. They want chaos that feels like meaning. They want to feel something, anything, even if it's pain. So when a woman disappears for 2 days, he calls it mystery. When she posts something cryptic, he calls it depth. When she returns with affection after silence, he calls it fate. But it's not fate, it's reinforcement. Intermittent attention is the strongest form of psychological conditioning. It keeps the brain hooked, craving the next reward. That's why nanoships are so dangerous. They're designed, consciously or not, to keep both sides addicted. She's addicted to control, he's addicted to hope. And both will starve before admitting they're hungry. The emotional escalation begins quietly. You start checking your phone more. Waiting for her reply. Wondering what you did wrong. Then the anxiety becomes anticipation. The anticipation becomes obsession. You're not in love. You're in withdrawal. And she feels powerful. But it's a hollow power, the kind that fades the moment she's alone. Because the nanoship doesn't end with victory. It ends with silence. Boys. No closure, no confrontation, just fading relevance. One day, the messages slow down. Then they stop. You replay the memories, looking for the moment it died, but there isn't one. It didn't die, it dissolved. And she moves on, not because she found something better, but because she needed a new distraction. A new face to mirror her worth back at her. This is the age of emotional minimalism. People no longer want connection, they want the feeling of connection without the responsibility of it. Love has been replaced by convenience. Intimacy replaced by accessibility. And devotion replaced by dopamine. You can feel the loss in the silence between messages, in the emptiness after a night of pretending not to care. You can feel it in her eyes when she smiles at you, not because she's happy, but because she knows she could have you if she wanted to. And somewhere, beneath all that control, she's quietly breaking. Because every fortress becomes a prison when no one can enter. Men think they're being used. Women think they're being smart. But both are just avoiding the same wound, the terror of being fully seen and possibly rejected. So instead of being loved, we perform love. Instead of connecting, we consume each other. Instead of surrendering, we strategize. And the deeper we sink into this culture of emotional efficiency, the further we drift from anything real. There's no romance left in a world obsessed with optimization. No vulnerability in a world addicted to control. No depth in conversations designed to disappear. And maybe that's the real heartbreak. Not that people stopped loving, but that they stopped believing in love as something sacred. Now it's just another app, another algorithm, another choice. And when everything's a choice, no one ever chooses. At some point, when the noise fades and the screen goes dark, there's a quiet that feels heavier than loneliness. It's the sound of emptiness, not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from realizing you've been surrounded by people who never truly saw you. We have mistaken availability for intimacy, responsiveness for care, attention for love. And that confusion has created an entire generation that craves connection but fears it more than anything else. The nanoship was never meant to replace love. It was meant to protect people from its consequences. But protection has a cost. It numbs the very nerve endings that allow us to feel alive. You can't protect yourself from heartbreak without also protecting yourself from love itself. So here we are, a world of people orbiting each other, terrified of collision. Everyone watching, no one touching. Everyone communicating, no one connecting. Love has become a spectator sport. We don't fall anymore, we observe. We don't express, we perform. We curate our vulnerability so it looks beautiful on screen, digestible to the crowd. We've forgotten that the essence of love is exposure, to be known, fully and without disguise. But the nanoship doesn't allow for that. It's too small, too sterile. It can't hold the weight of truth. It's designed for fragments, glimpses, moments, simulations. And the tragedy is that both men and women are exhausted by it. He's tired of chasing ghosts. She's tired of pretending she's fine. They both want the same thing, to be understood, but they're speaking different emotional languages. His is hope, hers is fear. He waits for a sign, she hides behind silence. And when they finally meet, they don't touch souls, they trade defense mechanisms. We've reached a point where detachment is celebrated as strength and vulnerability is treated like weakness. But what no one tells you is that emotional detachment doesn't make you strong, it makes you hollow. Strength isn't the absence of feeling, it's the ability to feel deeply without running from it. But no one practices that anymore. We practice control. We practice restraint. We practice pretending not to care, hoping that one day it'll stop hurting. But the irony is, it only hurts because we still care. The nanoship has created an illusion of progress, that we've evolved beyond dependence, beyond heartbreak, beyond the messiness of love. But evolution without emotion isn't progress. It's decay. We've traded pain for numbness, risk for safety, connection for control. And in doing so, we've stripped love of its soul. Because love, in its rawest form, was never efficient. It was chaotic, unpredictable. It was two people risking everything they had for something that might destroy them. And that destruction, that vulnerability, was the beauty. But now, everyone wants the reward without the risk, the warmth without the fire, the intimacy without the surrender. You can't have it. You can't half-love someone and expect to feel whole. Somewhere deep down, every woman who builds a nanoship knows this. She knows the thrill of control fades quickly, that no amount of attention can fill the absence of genuine care. And every man who chases her knows that hope turns to resentment when he realizes he's been loving a ghost, a version of her that never truly existed. We are all complicit in this illusion. Every time we choose the easy over the meaningful, every time we replace presence with performance, every time we call emptiness freedom. But freedom without connection isn't liberation, it's exile. We've exiled ourselves from the very thing that gives life its texture. The laughter that comes from safety, the tears that come from being known, the stillness that comes from being understood. These things can't exist in a nanoship. They require depth, and depth requires surrender. Love demands risk. It always has. And the people who try to outsmart that truth will end up living clever, empty lives, safe but unloved. We were not designed for efficiency. We were designed for intimacy, for the slow unfolding of another soul, for the quiet safety of trust, for the simple human warmth of belonging. But that warmth is dying in the modern cold, because no one wants to admit how lonely we've become, How terrified we are of being replaced. How desperately we're trying to feel seen while pretending we don't need to be. And yet, the truth remains. You can't play with hearts and expect to stay whole. You can't build a fortress and still expect to be touched. You can't keep everyone at arm's length and still complain that no one reaches for you. There's a moment coming, for all of us, when we'll have to choose. Comfort or connection. Control or love. Safety or surrender. Because you can't have both. And when that moment comes, it will feel terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff. But what you'll find on the other side of that fear is freedom of a different kind. Not the freedom of isolation, the freedom of truth. To look at someone and say, here I am, unfiltered, unprotected, unequal, human. And to have them stay, not because you managed the risk, but because you shared it. That's real intimacy. That's real power. Not control, not attention, connection. Everything else is noise. So the next time you find yourself in another almost relationship, another digital half-love, another fleeting connection that feels both intoxicating and empty, remember this. Nanoships were never about love. They were about fear. And fear may protect you for a while, but love is the only thing that can save you. Because in the end, when everything fades, the messages, the photos, the attention, the performance, all that will matter is whether you ever let yourself truly be known. That's the real rebellion in this world of surfaces. Not to control, but to connect. Not to appear strong, but to love anyway. And maybe that's the only cure left for this emotional wasteland. To look at another soul and whisper the simplest, most dangerous truth. I'm still capable of love.